Today, I want to talk about a film called 1 Hour Photo, directed by Mark Ramanek. It's a film from 2002, and it stars Robin Williams, who plays this character named Seymour. He has the nickname Cy, and he's this psychopathic film developer at a 1 Hour Photo inside of a discount supermarket back when it was a more regular thing where you just drop off your roll of film. You would have photos and you'd hold on to them, and they weren't this like disposable thing that like just stayed on your phone and you forgot about. They were just tangible, and you could put them on an album, and there was more processes that go into it instead of just something that gets saved to your iCloud and forgotten in perpetuity. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about nostalgia for film photos, because that's another conversation for a different day. In this film, Cy, he is, developing film for one family in particular who he's gotten to know over the years. He's gotten to see how, the couple has raised their kid, and because they keep dropping off to the same location. So he, has some small talk as the wife in the film comes in and to drop off the film. It all seems kind of innocent at first up until you enter Cy's apartment and you see that he's been doing multiple duplicate copies of the family's photos, and without them knowing and without the store knowing as well, up until later when he gets caught. But you start to see that innocence, that veneer of innocence fade away. That's kind of where the trajectory of the story goes, is that, he sort of becomes more and more distracted by wanting to feel part of this family, because it's revealed that he doesn't really have any family to fall back on, nor does he have any friends in his life as well. It's a pretty isolating experience altogether. And I think one thing about this film is that, it presents a very different light for Robin Williams. Obviously, Robin Williams, he's a stand-up comic, grew up in the LA circuit in the Comedy Store. He took a lot of comedic roles in films, and that's how we sort of identify him, from Patch Adams to Flubber. Even if it was more dramatic, but like Death to Smoochie, he still plays someone who's being sort of over the top and goofy and ridiculous, and sort of energetic in his stage presence as well. And I think a lot of his stand-up comedy presence was sort of filtered onto his roles in a lot of ways. Except in this film, he channels a very dark energy into a character that is polite enough to appear as if he's blending in with everybody else, but seemingly has this vice of being overly obsessed with the lives of this particular family. And he fools them enough to create some sort of bond with them for them to trust him enough. I think the film also conveys a lot of details of the character from the wardrobe and the set design. So if you look at the way Cy is dressed, it's very plain, it's very minimal. And then when you enter his apartment, aside from this gallery of these family photos, it matches the same sort of blandness that you see in the way that he dresses, which goes with his character as having really nothing in his life that makes him feel alive, other than this pursuit of being part of this family. At points in the film, we actually enter his headspace, where we see him just hanging out with the family as if they're in good company, but it's only later until it's revealed that it was just all in his head, and it was all in his figment of his imagination. The first thing that I noticed that kind of put me out of the film was witnessing the first fight that the couple has. It reveals their domestic issues, which is integral to the conflict that happens later, where the husband cheats on his wife. But I felt just in that first scene that we see, at least the dialogue between them, it felt very obvious and very on the nose and not as subtle as I would have liked it to be. Because this film falls under the thriller horror genre, a lot of the fear that this film relies on when it comes to the protagonist is, your photos that you take say a lot about you, which makes it scary when you don't really know the identity or anything about the person that develops it. And in this case, the family was trusting enough to Cy to sense that he was, safe and well-meaning as to not be this monster that he reveals himself to be later. But that's really the fear that this film operates under, is that you're vulnerable through your photos that you take. You reveal a lot of details of your intimate life, which is scary when you think like you don't know who has access to your most sort of intimate moments. The more that Cy sees these photos, the more that he wants to become part of this family. There's this, especially over the years, has built up to the point where he's become so dissociated from reality that he actually thinks that he is an unofficial member of the family. There are parts within the film that show Cy have this romantic, almost sincere view of taking photos and processing them, and that's sort of this innocent tone throughout the voiceovers, but it shows him sort of plotting and stalking the family. So there's kind of this contrast that it creates, but also relates to his character as a whole, where he's hiding his truest intentions from the rest of the world. And on the surface, it just appears to be a somewhat safe, neighborly type guy, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. I think one of the things that motivates Cy and his attachment toward the family is that he sees his father's neglect from the cheating that he does on the side, and he feels that he is filling the void within the kid's life as this like fatherly figure. Of course, it's all like delusional, but in his mind, he finds that that is his sort of truth and part of his identity. And the film kind of shows you this gradual unmasking of his character and how manipulative he is through the use of objects. Specifically, you have a book that he sees the wife reading. He buys the book and then nonchalantly pretends to read it in front of her as to garner that sort of trust, to garner, just to inch closer to the family. And then with the toys, he sees that the kid wanted to buy some specific toy in the store that he works at, and then he approaches the kid when no one else is around and gives him a surprise. It was the toy that he was seeking, and ultimately the kid has enough intuition to reject Cy's gift, but nevertheless, it's just another source of his sort of manipulation to garner favor within the family's eyes. Ultimately, his character is this like ticking time bomb throughout the whole film, and a lot of that is supported by Robin Williams' performance as this like gentle type figure, but capable of just sinister, deviant behavior. So I think that's kind of the intrigue that you see within this character itself. I don't find like the rest of the sort of film to be like anything extraordinary, but I feel just if you hone in on Robin Williams' performance within this, I think it's noteworthy in itself. So the last thing I want to talk about is the scene where Cy finds the father and his mistress fooling around in the hotel room, and how the humiliation that he puts them through by making them pose in these uncomfortable positions just felt a bit out of place for my liking. I felt that there wasn't much built up to explain why Sai is sort of taking comfort in this, why he's sort of lashing out against them, other than the fact that he obviously has this vendetta against the husband for mistreating his wife from his acts of infidelity. But I just felt as though, this sinister plan just kind of came out of nowhere. There was no like calculation of it, but the calculation was done sort of behind the scenes. I don't know. I guess maybe it does sort of make sense given his nature, given the fact that he has this like fetish for photography and this like voyeurism that he gets off on. In that sense, it made sense to me. But just lashing out in the way that he did in that scene, where he becomes like noticeably angry and wanting things to have like a sense of control and stuff. I don't know. It just seemed out of character from the character that we get presented throughout the film, in my opinion, at least. So overall, I feel that once we realize, Sai doesn't really have a family that to call his own, he imagines this family as his own over the years of developing their photos, and that for him becomes his like kink. It becomes this innate desire that he can't escape from, that he will justify, getting fired from his work just so he can continue this fantasy in his head that he actually belongs and he's loved, because otherwise it doesn't seem like he feels that from anyone in his life, his workplace relationships, and he's just a bit of a loner in life. So he feels some sort of human connection with this family, even though it's based off of delusions of grandeur, or whatever you want to call that. So yeah, is this like the most remarkable film that I ever seen? No, but I think it was worthwhile seeing Robin Williams play this character that seemingly is out of the ordinary in terms of his choices. It seems like he channeled some very dark energy and wanted to just portray this quasi serial killer obsessive character. He doesn't necessarily sort of kill anyone in this film, spoiler alert, but he gets close enough to being sort of the predator of this family. And I guess at the time, when dropping off your film was more of a common occurrence, you just don't know who's handling your photos behind the scenes. And I think the film took that premise and went with it in a sort of dark direction. So watching it now, it's just different in terms of how we sort of take photos. Unless you are still developing film, then that's a separate thing. But it was creepy enough to sustain my interest, but it didn't blow me away. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you soon. All right, bye.